Welcome everyone. Today we're going back to 1964 and looking at the soundtrack to the first film starring the Beatles, A Hard Day's Night. This would be the third UK LP from the band, following Please Please Me and With the Beatles. The film was produced at the height of Beatlemania and was a musical comedy following 36 hours in the lives of the group as they prepare for a TV performance. A Hard Day's Night premiered at the London Pavilion Theatre on the 6th of July and was a huge commercial and critical success, being nominated for 2 Academy Awards. As a result, it started a career-long affiliation with the medium of film, which the group would constantly revisit in projects such as Help, Magical Mystery Tour, Yellow Submarine and Let It Be, as well as several promotional films, later known as music videos, for several Beatles songs. The accompanying soundtrack LP was released 4 days later in both mono and stereo, and it entered the UK album chart at number 1, replacing the Rolling Stones debut LP on the 18th of July 1964, a position it held for a staggering 5 months, eventually toppling to the Beatles' next LP, Beatles for Sale, on the 12th of December. Like their previous albums, this was recorded at Abbey Road Studios and was produced by George Martin, who also contributed piano. With no covers included or songs penned by George Harrison or Ringo Starr, this was the Beatles' only original UK studio LP to comprise exclusively of tracks written by John Lennon and Paul McCartney. One of the greatest innovations on the record was the ringing guitar sound achieved by George Harrison's 12-string electric Rickenbacker guitar, a prototype given to him by the manufacturer, which made its debut on the record. This greatly influenced bands like the Byrds and was a catalyst for the folk rock explosion of 1965. Side 1 is bookended by the songs A Hard Day's Night and Can't Buy Me Love, both of which were transatlantic number 1 singles. All the songs were sung by Lennon and or McCartney, with the exception of I'm Happy Just to Dance With You, which was sung by George Harrison. I'll now take us through the mono version and describe what constitutes the very first pressing. I have 4 mono copies here, all slightly different, but all are first pressings. There are a couple of different fonts used on the label, which I will describe shortly, and sleeves were made by 2 different manufacturers, so I have a copy of each. The record was issued on the familiar black Parlophone company label, with text printed in yellow and silver print, issued under the catalogue number PMC 1230. The label states sold in the UK subject to resale price conditions, and recording first published 1964 is at the 9 o'clock position. The rim text features the Parlophone Company Limited wording, followed by an all rights reserved notice. The Gramophone Company rim text, without the first published 64 note, would indicate a 1965 second pressing or later pressing. The statement Made in Great Britain appears at the foot of the label. Side 1 features the subtitle Songs from the film A Hard Day's Night above the track listing, but this title is omitted from side 2 as those songs were not actually included in the film. This copy features the earlier MT tax code on side 2 embossed around the spindle hole. This relates to the amount of purchase tax due on goods in Britain, the MT code being current up to the 30th of June 1963. Given that the release date was 10th of July 1963, the correct code that applied should be KT, present on the majority of copies as shown here. I have 2 variants of the record label to compare, one with slender silver printing type being a taller and narrower font, and another with fat or chubby printing type being a wider, more open font. These are simply printing variations without priority. The difference in type is particularly noticeable within the catalogue number printed to the right of the spindle hole. The famous cover image is made up of contact sheets of black and white portrait photos of each of the band members striking various poses, these photos being taken by photographer Robert Freeman. The LP cover is the front laminated flip-back style. Some sleeves were printed by Ernest J. Day Limited of London, who held the patent for this design, and their credit appears on the lower flip-back. A number of sleeves were also printed by Garrett and Lofthouse of Surrey, and these sleeves additionally state patents pending on the lower flipback beside their printed credit. Both sleeve types include the mono and stereo catalogue numbers at the bottom right corner. The E.J. Day flipback has a slightly angled cut, whereas the Garrett and Lofthouse version has a more rounded edge. In my experience, the Ernest Day printed sleeves are somewhat rarer. The mono wording on the front cover is printed in a mid-sized type, which reduces in size on later pressings. The extensive sleeve notes were written by the Beatles press officer Tony Barrow, who had been the first to coin the phrase the Fab Four. At the foot of the sleeve are 4 large individual black and white photos of the band members, taken from the film A Hard Day's Night. The catalogue number appears at the top right corner of the rear, and the lower corners display the Parlophone Records logo and an advertising roundel for Emitex record cleaning cloth. The spine displays the name of the album and the artist only. The inner sleeve is a company die-cut white paper design, printed with the standard Use Emitex cleaning cloth instructions in grey ink. Most of these come with tracing paper liners. Some, like this copy, may have a clear polythene lining bag, which was being phased out, but there was clearly some transition here. Many copies will be well played and enthusiastically handled, meaning decent original copies are desirable and valuable. In the current edition of the Rare Record Price Guide, the original first press 1964 examples in mint condition are listed at £100, and later 1960s pressings with the Gramophone Company rim text are worth £60. And that just about brings to an end my brief history run-through look at the third UK Beatles LP, A Hard Day's Night. That's all for this time. I appreciate you joining me, and I hope you enjoyed the content today. If you did like the video, please feel free to subscribe to the Rare Record Room channel to see similar episodes and to receive notifications for new uploads as they happen. Thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you next time. Until then, take care. Bye for now.